Are you like me and you have a stack of alcohol inked panels or ink blended panels in your craft room, maybe some gel prints that you don't know what to do with? Today we're going to be using up those card panels using some Catherine Pooler stamps. This is the beautiful Butterfly in Bloom stamp set. It does come with a butterfly that has a floral print on one side and a monarch on the other. There are 2 sentiments in this set as well as 5 floral pieces. I'm also going to be using the coordinating dies. That magnetic strip on the back is something that I put on mine. It will not come with that magnetic strip. Also from Catherine Pooler, the Life of the Party Mini Ink Collection, I'm using Something Borrowed, Flirty, Fuchsia, and Be Mine. And then I have these beautiful jewels from Pinkfresh Studio. Here I'm showing you an alcohol inked panel on Yupo paper that I created that has been sitting around my craft room. I am going to ink up this stamp. I did use my anti-static tool on this panel, and I'm going to heat emboss it. Now, heat embossing on Yupo paper, you need to be careful. I'm using some white embossing powder. You need to make sure you heat up your gun really well, and then you move it to and from the panel. So I pulled it back, let it cool off a little bit before I brought it back to my panel. I'm using the coordinating die to cut out my butterfly. I'm going to preface this by saying, if you're going to use this using a different type of an image, make sure that it's not an image that you're going to be gluing flat to your panel, because you are going to get that warping, as I said, and you want to make sure that it's something that's like this is going to be dimensional and the wings are going to be up, so that little bit of warping is actually going to add more texture and dimension to the piece as opposed to trying to glue it down flat to my panel. Here is the other half of that inked panel. I decided to cut it up into strips, and we're going to use it on the second card that we create. So I cut it up into 3/4 inch, 1/2 inch, and 1/4 inch strips. I have used some masking tape, and I've created a diagonal stripe on this 4 by 5 1/4 inch panel. I'm using the Something Borrowed ink from Catherine Pooler. I do wipe off, as you can see, that tape in between, because I am going to add another color. I'm going to bring in that Flirty Fuchsia, and I don't want to contaminate my blending brush or my ink by getting that blue ink. So make sure that you do wipe off that tape in between. I decided to go with a diagonal stripe. You could do a horizontal, you could do a vertical. This is going to create some interest, but we're still going to get a clean and simple card with this. I'm going to show you 2 ways to create a panel. This first way, we're doing the ink blending. As I said, I do have the sentiment that says, you make life beautiful, and I'm going to heat emboss this as well. So I'm using my anti-static tool. I'm going to ink this up with the Catherine Pooler Something Borrowed and Flirty Fuchsia ink. The Flirty Fuchsia on the bottom, the Something Borrowed on the top, and that ink is embossing friendly. So it stays wet a little longer than some of the other inks out on the market. Therefore, I'll be able to bring in some clear embossing powder, put it over the top, use my heat gun, and it will heat emboss beautifully. It will give me just a little bit of shine, and that's what I'm looking for. This is from Fun Stamper's Journey. It's no longer available, but any embossing folder will do. I am adding that embossing folder to add a little bit more texture to my card. I'll put some fun foam on the back of this because I do love dimension on my cards. And once I get that fun foam on there, I'm going to place it or glue it down to the center of my A2 size top folding card. That card base is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. That is in inches, the size of an A2 size card. And then we are going to glue our butterfly on the diagonal. As I said with the stripes, you could decide to put the butterfly right dead center and it would fit perfectly into an A2 size envelope. I choose, though, to add a little bit more interest to this clean and simple card, and I'm going to put it at the diagonal, which means that the wing is going to hang off just a smidge. I only glue it in the center because I do want those wings to be able to come up, and as I said, it does have that little bit of warp in it, so you can see it on the right side. That is just going to add the interest, and I'm not going to have to worry about having this little bulge in my card. But I am going to need to put it in a bigger envelope. I'm using those lavender jewels from Pinkfresh Studio. They used to come in a pack of 12, so you had to buy 12 different colors at one time, which is why my jewels have those little that little case. But they are now sold in the ScrapbookPal store in individual packets, so you can choose the colors that delight you the most. Here is where I'm using those strips. Again, a top folding or a panel right here, and it's 4 by 5 1/4. I am using the 1/4 inch and 1/2 inch strips. I did bring in the strip that had the pink. I wanted to add a little bit more pink to this card. I'll use my Holtz titanium shears and trim that off. I did heat emboss with the same white embossing powder onto a sheet of vellum, that same butterfly, and I cut it out using the coordinating die. I'm using the second sentiment, which is thinking of you, and we're going to do the same type of ombre stamping. This time I will not do the heat embossing, so I'm starting with the Be Mine ink, and then at the bottom I will bring in the Flirty Fuchsia, and that will tie in. These colors are very similar to the alcohol ink colors, and that's what I love about some of the Catherine Pooler inks, is that they're super vibrant and they're easy to coordinate with alcohol inks. Here I'm gluing this down. As you noticed, I did not do any embossing on this, dry embossing. I have another top folding card, and then I'll glue my butterfly down as well as adding those jewels. And I've got 2 beautiful cards using 1 stamp set and 1 panel from my stash. All of the products that I'm using will be linked in the description box below. If you haven't checked out the new ScrapbookPal website, they have worked so hard on building a new look for the ScrapbookPal website. I hope you head over and take a look at the products that are carried in that store. And I want to thank you so much for watching. I'll give you a couple of close-up looks of this card after I show you this beautiful dimension. Thanks for joining me today, and I hope that you come back again soon. Until then, have a fabulous day.